Hey, Bruiser Buddies, this is Wrestling Nostalgia with Dave Dynasty.
Before we dive into the episode, make sure you hit subscribe on the podcast platform you're listening on. Also, follow me on X at The Dave Dynasty and subscribe on YouTube by looking up Nostalgic Dave Dynasty. You can also buy one of my shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/The Dave Dynasty. Now, enjoy the show.
Welcome to 1 hour of the toughest, roughest wrestling you'll ever see.
That's right, Dick the Bruiser said it all.
The big question, have you got the endurance? Have you got the brains to get past the excellence of execution?
The reason why Axe and myself were put on this earth is to demolish people.
Bobby Heenan, that is a very good-looking sport coat you've got on.
Yeah, and I paid for mine. Mine isn't government issue.
Hello, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside. And by golly, we're ready to go with another big week of championship wrestling.
Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestling Nostalgia. I'm your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Hopefully, everybody's doing well out there. Hopefully, wherever you are staying safe, you are staying warm. I know it's crazy in some parts of the country, both weather-wise and otherwise. So just keep safe and live your best life. On this episode, my guest is the Russian Bull, Vladimir Koloff. We talk about Smoky Mountain Wrestling, WCW, the Koloff family reunion, and much, much more. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have that interview with Vladimir Koloff. Filsinger Games is a tabletop cards and dice game company that has enjoyed success for over 3 decades. Their first game was Champions of the Galaxy and was released in 1986. Champions of the Galaxy is a tabletop game that features professional wrestling over 100 years in the future. Humans, aliens, and monsters battle in the Galactic Wrestling Federation for belts. Legends of Wrestling features officially licensed wrestling cards featuring stars like Ted DiBiase, Jimmy Snuka, Harley Race, and many, many more, including game sets for independent promotions. Each match takes place in real time. The action is fast and furious, and all the things that happen in pro wrestling, like cage matches, outside interference, 3-man tag matches, they also happen in the games. You have the opportunity to run your own wrestling promotion involving either real life stars or fictional characters of the future, or you can mix and match both. Visit filsingergames.com for more information and to order the games today. That is Filsinger Games, FILSINGERGAMES.com to order now. If you like horror movies, be sure to check out Dave Dynasty and Ike Isaacs on the Listen to Their Screams Horror Podcast. It is available on all podcast platforms and on social media at Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2, and Screams. All right, welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia. This time I'm being joined by Vladimir Koloff. How are you, comrade?
I'm very well, comrade. Thank you. Dusted on you. Dusted.
There you go. There you go. A couple of Hoosiers here. It's nice to be talking to a fellow Hoosier.
Yes.
Yeah, you were telling me when we were exchanging messages.
Wait a minute. How about Indiana University, brother?
I know. What about that?
Hey,
that's something else, isn't it?
Undefeated season, Big Ten champions, Heisman Trophy winner.
I know it.
And Indiana University is the only the only university in the history of the NCAA to have an undefeated national champion football team and an undefeated national champion basketball team. The 1976 Hoosiers. Kent
Isaiah
Benson,
Thomas.
No, Isaiah wasn't on that team. It was Kent Benson. It was Kent Benson, Scott May. I will think of the. It was 1970.
Was Clark Kellogg on that?
No, that was like 82 or 83.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny.
But Knight coached both of them. So
of course. Of course, yeah. It's funny because I'm here in Pensacola, and there's this bridge here that's called the Graffiti Bridge where they do artwork, graffiti. And recently, when they won the national title, that's when it was painted up with IU national champions, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool to see for a Hoosier guy.
I have a cousin who lives in Santa Rosa Beach down there, somewhere by Destin, and she said that there's a huge population of Hoosiers down there to where they have, I think they're called watch parties or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
At bars and restaurants and what have you, when the Hoosiers are either playing basketball or football or what have you.
It's so fun. I can't believe that title for the Hoosiers. That's unreal. So you were born in Muncie, right?
Yes, I was born and raised in Muncie, Indiana,
Yeah.
Muncie is, for those people that don't know, Muncie is about 55, 60 miles northeast of Indianapolis, just off of Interstate 69.
Mm-hmm.
We're south of Fort Wayne, and we are north of Richmond, Indiana.
Yeah. Home of Ball State.
Home of Ball State, where my grandfather went to college there, and when he went there in the 20s, it was called Indiana Normal Teachers College.
Yep.
My mother graduated from there with a 4-year nursing degree. Many of my cousins and relatives all graduated from there. And matter of fact, I'm going back there next month. No, I'm sorry, I'm going back there in March for a card show.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, cool. And obviously David Letterman went to Ball State, and
David Letterman, Bob Ross, the
painter,
deceased painter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Matt Painter, who's the head coach at Purdue, head basketball coach at Purdue University.
Yeah.
Home of Ball Brothers, the Fruit Jar, and satellite imaging glass company that's now headquartered in Golden, Colorado. What else is there claim to fame to besides Vladimir Koloff? Yeah. So,
were you still in Indiana into the 70s? Did you watch Dick the Bruiser and the WWA at all?
Yeah, I was. We moved down here to North Carolina in August of '79, and my father was a senior level executive. I won't give you his exact title. I mean, people can Google it if they want, but he was a senior level executive with Lowe's Companies, Lowe's Hardware, which was headquartered here where we live. And, but yeah, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s watching Dick the Bruiser, and I believe it was called the WWA.
Yeah.
Black Bart, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, the Blackjacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't understand in the 70s how big the WWA was and how they were drawing and stuff and everything. And it was such a big, and it's so funny because you went from Indiana to North Carolina, and then I was born and raised, lived most of my life in Indiana, moved to North Carolina for work prior to moving to Florida. So it's a little ironic, but you got into wrestling, right? And you were trained by Bobby and Jackie Fulton and Ivan Koloff, right?
The sequence and the timeline was that I had met Ivan. I was working for a international corporation when I got out of college, and I was working overseas, and I had happened to fly back from Seoul, Korea, to Tokyo, to Los Angeles, and then LA to Charlotte.
Okay.
And so from Kempo, Seoul to Narita, Tokyo, and to LAX, and then to Charlotte Douglas, I sat next to Ivan every one of those legs for whatever reason. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And so I had his ear basically for 20 hours with the layovers and everything, et cetera, et cetera. And I had told him that Andre was a friend of mine. And so I met Andre in '87. Andre and Frenchie and Jackie, and Frenchie and Jackie Bernard were the husband and wife and best friends, confidant, handler of Andre and his property and his ranch and home
in North Carolina.
Yes, and his state, et cetera, about 2.5 hours from me.
Yeah.
And I had met them. They came up here to Wilkesboro, where I live, and they bought Texas Longhorn cattle from me.
Okay.
And Andre loved everything Texas, and so on his ranch he wanted Longhorn cattle, and so they bought several animals from me, and that's how I met them. And I was working for this international company, and I didn't have any aspirations at that point of turning pro. I was still kind of in my national team, world team, all state, all American, middle school, high school, and college, Greco-Roman and freestyle mindset.
Yeah.
And so Andre knew about all my amateur accolades. So I met Andre, long story short. So I was sitting next to Ivan, and I told him all about Andre and everything. And both of them had told me that if I ever wanted to go pro, to call them, they would train me or get me trained or put me under their wing or what have you. So when I left the rigors of the 9 to 5, which I despised, corporate America, I decided I was going to turn pro. So I called Andre, and he was gone to Japan for like 8 weeks. And Frenchie said, well, he won't be back for 8 weeks. And I'm very impatient still to this day. And so I called, I thanked Frenchie, and I said, well, I'm going to try calling Ivan. And he said, oh yeah, call Ivan, no problem. Yeah. So I called Ivan, and I said, hey, you remember me? And he goes, oh yeah, absolutely. You're the shooter. You're the big guy that's a shooter. That's Andre's friend. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, I have a camp in Charlotte, or it's on the east side of Charlotte, blah, blah, blah. And we work out on Saturdays and Sundays from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 to 3 in the afternoon. And then he said he had to make his shows over the weekend, and the same schedule would apply on Sundays as well. And it just depended. It was all the contingency was if Ivan was near enough in the Carolinas or Tennessee or Georgia or Virginia on an independent show at the time that he could come back to the school on Sunday. And so if he didn't make it back, Jackie Fulton, who was Bobby Fulton's younger brother, or is Bobby Fulton's younger brother, he was running the camp on Sundays if Ivan couldn't be there. Well, when I got there, I had just shaved my head, and people said, oh my God, you really look like Nikita, people around here. And I had a beard. I didn't have a goatee. I had a beard, but I had a shaved head. And I was, I was 6'2.5", 290 pounds. And like a week later, it wasn't even a week later. Maybe that was on a Saturday that I was there. And maybe like on that Wednesday or Thursday, I went back down there, and Bobby had come home from a tour in Japan, he and Tommy Rogers. And I was in the gym there, and there were some guys in there, and Bobby saw me, and he said, Carl Koloff. And long story short, I didn't want to be called Carl, my given name. Yeah. And so I came up with Ivan said, well, we ran it by Ivan. Ivan said, yeah, absolutely. I want you to be my nephew, so we can tag, and it can take a little load off me having to take all the bumps. Yeah. And so long story short, I was in the ring the next weekend in Greenville with Ivan, like a week after I started. Had no clue, and I guess I still have no clue. But Bobby and Jackie, Ivan and Bobby had the school, the camp, and then Jackie helped out. And so I was trained, 50% by Ivan, maybe 60%, 20% by Bobby, 20% by Jackie. Yeah. But one of the problems I always had, and cut me off whenever you want, we want to go to the next question.
No, that's okay.
But one of the problems I had, I was trained under a two conflicting styles. Ivan trained me to be the big heel
Mhm.
and to register the offensive moves put on me by a babyface. Bobby taught me to sell like hell for the babyface. Sell,
Right.
sell.
Yeah.
Because Ivan and I ended up working Bobby and Jackie
Yeah.
all over the U.S. And so obviously the baby faces wanted us to sell, and Bobby being 5'9", 220 pounds or what have you, he wanted the big heel to sell for him to make him look better. So I was taught two conflicting styles, nevertheless.
Yeah, and a lot of that, right, with all those guys, right, it was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling because they were all working for Smoky Mountain.
we were, I had been I started in 90.
Yeah.
And I can't remember when Smoky Mountain came along, but I do remember definitively that Cornette came to the camp one day and was talking to Cornette was living in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And I rode in the car with Stan Lane and Cornette to several independent shows that I was working, and they happened to be working as well after Cornette and Lane had left WCW.
Right.
So I would ride with those two, with Cornette and Lane, and I'd hear all the stories, what have you, blah, blah, blah. But Cornette came to the school one day, and I was thinking, well, what the hell's Cornette doing here? He's certainly not going to be taking bumps or anything, or, well, what he was doing, he was feeling me and another kid out by the name of Rock Pinckney, a black kid who Ivan had trained, who looked really, really good. And he was feeling us out. And so then the next weekend, I get to the camp, and they've got a ring outside behind the building set up, or they're building the ring, they're putting it up, and they've got the Smoky Mountain aprons and the Smoky Mountain canvas and the ropes, I think they were blue and yellow ropes, or blue ropes with yellow turnbuckles or something like that. So Cornette had just bought a new 20-foot ring.
Yeah.
And they were setting it up, Bobby and Jackie and Cornette, and somebody else, a couple of Ivan's other trainees or what have you, were setting it all up. And so that was the infancy of Smoky Mountain. And then they hired us, and no sooner were we there as tag team contenders, we were fired. So
yeah, well, and obviously, if you watch those early shows from Smoky Mountain, right, the centerpiece is the Koloffs versus the Fantastics, Bobby and Jackie.
Yeah, in the opening pictures of the show, they show a couple schmozzes or what have you as the intro to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They show me and Ivan, hanging Jackie over the top rope with Ivan's chain.
Yeah,
and Ivan's got him by the chain around the throat over the top rope, and I've got him by the feet. I'm on the floor, and I've got him by the feet, pulling on him, and we're crucifying him, we're choking him over the top with the chain. And I was actually, I was holding him up, and Jackie said he didn't want Ivan holding him because Ivan was a lot shorter than me. And I wasn't stronger than Ivan. I mean, Ivan was like a bull.
Yeah.
But Ivan knew how to handle the chain, and he knew how to handle the ropes and whatever. All I had to do was act like I was tugging on Jackie, but holding him at the same time.
Yeah, it's always funny to me with Ivan. He's done all the things he did in wrestling, right? WWF champion, right? The guy that knocked off Bruno Sammartino.
Yep.
And everything else he's done. So amazing. And I still feel like, I mean, and as being a Midwest guy, right? He came in and did a stint in WWA, right? Held the WWA title.
He was WWA world champion at one time.
That's right. Absolutely.
He was living in Florida and working for, I want to say, Eddie Graham.
Yeah.
I want to say, and he would go up to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He may have been Graham's champion at one time. But maybe at the same time, but he's going up to Indianapolis and working for Bruiser.
Yeah. But all the things he's done and everything, I still feel like Ivan Koloff is so underappreciated for what he means to the history of professional wrestling.
Well, they got blackballed. It got blackballed by Vince.
Of course. Yeah.
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 Bottom line. I know the story.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't even call it. I think the word transition or transitional is an insult because they say, oh, he's a transition champion to get the belt off of Bruno and then to Pedro and then after Pedro whoever, and it'd be like saying the Sheik was a transition champion from Backlund to Hogan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a bunch of crap. I mean, without the Sheik, we wouldn't have the red and yellow of WrestleMania.
That's right. Absolutely.
Or Hulkamania. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to Smokey Mountain, what did you think working for Jim Cornette? Do you have any stories to tell us about Jim?
Jim was Jim is in my opinion, Jim is the greatest creative and encyclopedia of knowledge person to ever exist in the wrestling business. He can tell you Chilhowie, Virginia, high school, Smoky Mountain, 996 people, 800 paid, blah, 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 blah. He can tell you everything.
Sure.
And it's not just with Smoky Mountain. It's with any wrestling organization that he's ever had anything to do with.
Yeah.
His creative style was definitely 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But his knowledge that he brought, I think, was intimidating to a lot of promoters or office workers in promotions. And he's not tactical at all, and I'm not faulting him for that. I have no tact either. And why not listen to a legend like Cornette about the business instead of listening to some clown who owned a pizza joint or some clown who got into the business because he was an errand boy or coffee boy for the promotion's owner,
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. So Cornette was, I don't even know if Cornette had a money guy up there at Smoky Mountain. I don't know where any of that came from.
Well, he did. He had Rick Rubin, the music guy.
Okay. See, I never knew that. Knew that.
Yeah. Well, nobody knew that at the time, but yeah, he's divulged that
and
since.
So if it hadn't dried up or what have you, who knows? I mean,
sure.
It was just the territory is still a hotbed for wrestling, what I call Appalachia, but there are independent shows up there. They don't draw squat.
Yeah.
Cornette had his hands on something over there. I do know that, but there was a lot of guys. There were a lot of guys trying to hang on to the last remnants of their career. There were a lot of guys who came in who were trying to make a career for themselves. So there were a lot of clubs or cliques or groups or what have you, all jockeying for Cornette's ear or what have you, or, seeking favoritism or what have you. There are a lot of guys that were there that had no business being there anymore.
Yeah.
But I was green and one of the things, I was never taught the business.
Sure.
I was taught, headlock, top wrist lock, arm drag, hip toss, get it again, backdrop, slam, move, blah, blah, blah. I was never taught the ins and outs of the business, what to do when the agent came around to ask you things, or, they were bringing finishes back and forth or across the a building, blah, blah, blah. I was never taught any of that.
Yeah.
So, Ivan and I were hunting for independent shows, and don't get me wrong, we were all over the damn place, all over the world, all over the U.S. So it was good, but yeah, it was a tough road, for both of us, because Ivan was in the twilight of his career, and I was trying to make a name for myself, and Nikita was wanting to retire. He was done with the business, and he had just left WCW, so
Yeah,
it was tough.
Did you feel some of that heat from those guys being a new guy breaking into the business?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were in the elevator in the Knoxville Coliseum. Ivan and I were, and Dutch Mantel standing right next to me, and I'd never met him. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he looked like Yosemite Sam, and I'm thinking, oh, who the hell's this guy? And he looked at me, and goes, I don't like you. I think you're a prick. And I'm like, really? Yeah. You've never even talked to me before. I've never seen you before. They were just trying to get over on a young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For whatever reason. There was a lot of animosity, a lot of jealousy.
Yeah.
In the Charlotte area, when I came in, because, within a year, I was trying out for WCW and WWF, and I was in the power plant. I went through the power plant twice. Ole hired me, and the contingency on the contract was that I had to go through the power plant. And Ole loved me. I mean, Ole just he thought I was it because I was so big and I was so rough. And then he got fired, and they brought Bischoff in, and obviously a new Russian wasn't on Bischoff's radar. He had other aspirations in mind. So nevertheless, it was a lot. And when I went to WWF and did my tryouts with them and was on the road with them briefly, I didn't know the animosity between Ivan and Vince. Ivan never smartened me up to it.
Yeah.
And Vince had no thought processes at all that he was going to make me or keep me as a Russian. They wanted to put, and I found this out later because Scott Hall told me. I actually found out about it like on the fourth night that I was on the road trip. They were going to put the half man, half bull, the Manitar gimmick on me.
Right.
Manitar, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manitar. And they gave it to Mike Halleck, who was the brother of PN News, whatever that guy's name was.
Yeah.
And they gave it to him. And I don't know why, because the third night, the third day after the second night, Luna Vachon came to me, and I want to say it was Erie, Pennsylvania. She said, "Congratulations." And I said, "On what?" We were in the hotel, and I said, "On what?" And she goes, "They're going to hire you. I've already heard they're hiring you. And sure, because they had the night before, the seamstresses or whatever they were called, the women who did the costumes and the outfits and the spandex and all that shit.
Yeah.
Arnold Skolin said to me, he said, "Hey, he said, Vladimir, you need to go over there to wardrobe or whatever it was called and get measured up." I didn't know what they were doing. I had no clue. All I know is these good looking women are taking measurements of me in my underwear, and so Luna said, "They're going to hire you." I had no clue. And she said, "Yeah, they're going to hire you for really good money too."
Yeah.
And so something happened. I know what happened, and I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I'll tell you over a private telephone call.
Okay.
But I know what happened, and I wasn't receptive to the advance that was made upon me. And I still can't understand why that advance was made upon me and towards me, because I'm just not. I mean, if you saw me, you would never think that I was. I mean, it was just absurd, and I think you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they put it on the Mike Hallett guy, and I saw Scott Hall. I don't know. Scott and Kevin and Sean were up there. No, Kevin wasn't up there. It was Scott and Sean, and I think Chavis was there. I know Lex was there. Yoko was there. But Scott came to me about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years later, and he said, "Man," he said, "you are so damn lucky." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "that they didn't put that dumbass gimmick on you." And I said, "You talking about Mantar?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, I wasn't going to go for it." He said, "Well, yeah, they kind of felt like you weren't going to bite on it, and that kind of pissed them off that they were giving you the golden egg to run with that gimmick, and they kind of felt like you were going to turn it down." And I said, I wasn't going to accept that. I said, I wasn't going to do it. I didn't give a damn what kind of money they threw at me. I just wasn't going to. I wanted to be a Koloff. I wanted to be a Russian, and I wanted to further Ivan's legacy.
Yeah.
And so later on, Scott said to me, he said, that was voted the worst gimmick ever in the WWF, the Mantar, behind Bastion Booger and a couple other Aldo Nova or some such shit. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Shit like that. So I don't even remember what your question was, but
it was a very, obviously a very weird time in the business. And going back, right, coming out of Smoky Mountain, you talked about you and Ivan, did a lot around the world. One thing you did was in Wing in Japan.
Yeah, I like that over there because that fit my style. And what happened was we were over there on a tour, and it went really, really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese people popped on my style of wrestling because I was doing the big man, a lot of Greco-Roman throws on big guys.
Right.
And the Japanese people appreciated that sort of work. But we got juice every night also, and they liked that. And, if they said tear the building up, I tore the damn building down. I mean, literally. I mean, I was wrecking stuff. And so Ivan got drunk one night, which was highly unlike him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in a hotel room together in Tokyo,
and
he got drunk and blanked out, as he was subject to do. And he went ape shit, and he destroyed the room and threw all the furniture, not all of it, but the majority of the furniture out of the room, out of the windows, broke. It was bad.
Yeah.
So we got asked to leave. And I'm not talking about leave. We got asked to leave the damn country.
Okay.
So Andre had found out about it, and Baba had found out about it, and Andre had put word in with Baba to bring me in to work that big man style with all those big suplexes and suples and saltos, like my United States Olympic Sports Festival teammate from Wyoming, from Montana, who wrestled at Nebraska, who was Gary Albright.
Sure.
Gary and I were on the national team together.
Oh, okay.
in high school.
Yeah.
Both All-Americans. Now Gary was a hell of a lot bigger. Gary was a heavyweight, weighing 285, 290, maybe 300 at the time. 6'5", I believe it was. And when I was in high school, I was 192 pounds.
Yeah.
And so Andre put a bug in Baba's ear for me. Baba had guys at those shows that Ivan and I were on, the first couple tours, whatever. And so they knew how I worked. They knew I was green. But then that altercation happened, and I think I burdened some of the heat from that. And I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with it. I was just in the room, and I was collateral damage.
Sure.
So, that didn't work out. But but I loved Japan. I mean, I loved it. And I liked working stiff, or excuse me, I liked working firm, so to speak, or snug.
Snug.
So,
there you go. Yeah.
So we went to ECW and worked for. Eddie had the book. Dangerously was in the background, lurking around.
Sure.
But Goodnight or Goodheart or somebody was the payoff guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Well, okay. So this time, this is around '93. I was going to ask you, right? Todd Gordon was the guy in WC, but Joel Goodhart was Tri-State, was in that area. Yeah. I was going to ask you about this era. Who was booking at the time? If it was Eddie or Paul, because it was around that transitional time.
It was Eddie, I think, but Paul was part of it.
Yeah,
because the Head Shrinkers were on there. I'm sorry, the Headhunters.
Yeah, you worked with. Yeah.
Hanson was there. I worked him. Hawk was there.
Hawk, yeah.
I worked him. I worked.
This is around the year with Morocco and Tito Santana and
Morocco was there.
Yeah, a lot of those guys.
I had a ECW World Heavyweight title match against Tito.
Yeah. Right.
And they said, well, they were thinking, well, he's not going to do a job for Tito. I'm like, well, this is a fucking work, guys. I said, all I want to do, I'm not going out there. I mean, fuck. There was nobody on the card that I couldn't whoop. I couldn't pin in a regular wrestling match. So I said, sure, I'll do. That's Tito Santana, man. That's El Matador.
Sure.
I will do what the office says. And so I had an ECW World Heavyweight title match televised with Tito Santana, and it was good.
Yeah,
it was no problem. I worked Stan Hansen, and they were like, I was getting ready to go out. I was at the curtain, and Ivan said, "Hey, come here." And I said, "What? I'm getting ready to go out." He goes, "Be careful." And I said, "What do you mean, be careful?" He said, "He can't see."
Yeah.
I said, who the hell can't see? He said, Stan. I said, thanks for telling me now.
Yeah.
He said, so when he takes his glasses off and he goes to give you that clothesline, he said, you better damn duck. But so Stan was working for.
Uh-oh. Are you still there? Did I lose you?
I enjoyed ECW.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was a weird time, right? Because this, right around 93, was that weird time, right, when it was going from Gilbert booking to Paul Heyman, and, of course, what it would become. Was there a lot of tension there at that time? Was Heyman maneuvering? I mean, what did you sense any of that at that time?
No, I didn't sense it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we were left out of we were on the periphery. We didn't see any of the backstage tension between, Heyman trying to do his deal and,
Oh, did I lose you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, I didn't see any of it.
Okay.
But we weren't privy to all the behind closed doors stuff.
Yeah, you guys weren't. Yeah, you weren't the New York or Pennsylvania guys that were there all the,
No, we didn't have their ear and these were the later guys, Dreamer and I worked Sandman and Salvador Balomo.
Yeah.
And a Hervé somebody, I can't remember his name, a little bitty guy. He and another guy worked them in a tag team. But the later guys that, and I'm just going to tell you how it was. The later guys, the Dreamers, the Sandman, not Sandman, but Dreamer and Candido and Sonny and although they were up Heyman's ass.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was obvious by who was on TV every week and who was getting the push for whatever reason.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Shane coming in, and then all the girls that were screwing everybody, and
Yeah.
and I'm sure the top brass were getting laid by whoever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So,
well, and after ACW, did Ivan kind of back off it, lighten up his load, because you started doing a lot of stuff on your own, singles.
Mhm.
So was Ivan kind of like backing off his bookings a little bit and cutting back?
Yeah. He was, and his wife at the time wanted him at home more, and blah blah blah. But and I think after ECW was when I went to WCW and went through the power plant. I think I can't remember the dates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was relevant. You worked some independent stuff, right? And I wanted to ask you specifically
I
about.
I worked a lot of independent stuff.
Yeah. Right.
When I say that, I worked Ron Simmons, Jake. These were all on independent shows all over the U.S., Canada, and globally.
Yeah.
Kerry Von Erich, Jake the Snake, Ron Simmons, Honky Tonk Man, Ronnie Garvin, Wahoo McDaniels, Road Warriors, Axe and Smash, Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk.
Yeah.
Demolition Axe, Warlord, Barbarian, Lance Von Erich, Kamala. Snook, Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the older guys that were transitioning out.
Yeah.
I ended up working Bam Bam Bigelow on independent circuits all over the U.S. and Canada and abroad.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about a couple specifically. One I want to ask about that I'm curious because it was close to home was IWA Mid-South. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
So tell me about this because this is in Rotten, correct?
You're talking about Ian and Axel Rotten, correct?
Sure. Yeah. And Ann ran IWA Mid-South. And Ann is a very divisive personality within wrestling.
I never had a problem with him.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask. Well, tell me about your experiences with Ann.
No, he paid me. I did what he wanted and he paid me, and I had a good time. Terry Funk was on there. Dory may have been on there too.
Well, I'd probably both. Yeah. Yeah. He was not far from where I was from. And yeah, he ran some great shows and had a lot of great guys on there and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I think in the whole thing with N is the deathmatch side of N that some people don't like and whatnot.
Yeah, it got pretty hairy at one time. I didn't want to do the matches with the. He never asked me to. As I recall, with the barbed wire and the fluorescent bulbs and all that shit.
Yeah, but he ran a lot of stuff that was not that, right? He ran some solid shows with lots of great guys that weren't the deathmatch stuff. And
and those were like right around the Louisville area.
Sure, right, yeah.
Evansville, Louisville.
What was that city right in Indiana? I can't think of it now. I don't know what I can. Right over the border in Indiana. It's real close to Louisville.
Jeffersonville or Coreyville.
Yeah, Jeffersonville. Yeah, Jeffersonville. I was thinking about Jeffersonville. Yeah, some of those right. That it's pretty much that Louisville metro area for the most part. Yeah.
And so I worked a lot of that for him or both of those guys, and then it filtered on up into Illinois, and then Missouri. I worked with Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah.
Chuck Palumbo.
You also
worked Harley one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I just didn't know how to. I mean, he said, "What are you gonna do, kid?" I said, "Whatever you say."
Whatever
sir.
you. That's right. That's the proper answer.
And that's what I said. Whatever you say, sir. And that's what Ivan told me. He was just always reiterating to me, when you're working a veteran like that, they're good enough as a baby or a heel. They will lead you in whichever way.
Sure.
And they did.
Yeah.
So I remember when when Ivan and when I was living in Charlotte, and I was with WCW going through the power plant, Steamboat was still with WCW.
Okay.
And when I was home in Charlotte, Ivan and I would work out at Steamboat's gym, which was on W.T. Harris Boulevard and Hickory Grove Baptist Church Road. And Abe Jacobs ran the gym for Steamboat. Well, we would see Steamer in there all the time when he was between shots or what have you. And one time that I wasn't in there, he approached Ivan and said, "Hey, listen, I hear he's kind of making some good progress, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to approach management of WCW to do a program with Vladimir." Now, what would that have happened? I mean, if that would ever happen, me and Steamboat and him leading me, but that never happened. So,
yeah. And you talked about it, right? You're going through the power plant, doing your thing, and then, right, the leadership changed, right, from over to Bischoff. Yeah. So tell me about that when you're
and Dusty buried me too. There was some heat. There was some outside heat that I'm not going to go into.
Okay.
That was a lot of things probably could have been done differently on my end at the time. But and so Dusty wasn't going to have anything to do with me. And then Ole loved me. I mean, when we went up there to the offices in CNN Tower or whatever it was, Turner Broadcasting, in the big building, not the studio, the big building. Ole was the booker, and he had this big ass office up there, and put my hand out to shake his hand, and he reached across his desk to shake my hand, and he kind of pulled on me a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Well, hell, I mean, instinctively, I just pulled him back, and I pulled his ass up onto his desk. And Ivan sitting there giving me the Iggy with his foot, like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, I got Ole extended over his desk. And Ivan told me later on, he said, Ole loved that shit. He loved that big, not musclehead, but, rough and tough kind of attitude. And so, Ole was good to me. And I'll tell you somebody else that was good to me that was with WCW down there. That was in the office. There were two of them. Three of them, excuse me. Jody Hamilton.
Okay. Yeah.
Grizzly Smith, Jake's dad. He was the road agent. He was a road agent.
Yeah.
And Greg Gagne.
Okay.
Greg and Jody would come down to the camp, to the power plant, to see how I was progressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had two guys running the power plant that were nobodies and who were jealous of everybody that was coming in with any type of ability, and all it was screaming and hollering at people and trying to blow them up and get them to puke, and so they would run out the front door and never come back. And the management changed, the bookers changed, and I had to eat. I was living out of a hotel in Atlanta,
sure,
trying to do what I could. And I had independent shots that I had to fulfill: Indiana, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. So I couldn't be there all the time.
Right.
So it just didn't work out, But I kept doing all the independent stuff, and I did all right with it. So
yeah. As you look back, have you ever thought, because when I look at your story and when I hear you talk, it almost feels like, man, that you came along about 10 years too late.
That's exactly what Bruno and Dominic DeNucci said to me.
Yeah.
I wrestled for WWF in Pittsburgh, and Bruno and Dominic were there. And obviously Bruno was treated like royalty.
Sure.
And Bruno came up to me and said, and Bruno was a friend of a mutual friend of mine.
Okay.
Who was a dear friend of Bruno's. Yeah. And actually this guy wrote a book about Bruno.
Okay.
And so Bruno came up to me and he said, Carl, he said, or maybe he called me Vladimir, I don't remember. He said, I want you to know something. He said, 10 years earlier, you would have been on top. He said, you have come into the business 10 years too late.
Yeah, it is funny, right? Because you breaking in the early 90s. This would be a whole different conversation if it were the early 80s, I would think. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that would have been the days of Barbarian, Warlord, Nikita, Crusher Khrushchev,
Sure,
Manny Fernandez, the Andersons, blah 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 blah. Down in the Crockett, Crockett.
Well, and just lots more territories to work for in general, right? Lots more places to work.
Yeah, Terry Funk said to me one time. He said, Vladimir. He said, we would have had you out in Amarillo.
Yeah.
So,
and, I mean, when
Mike Graham came up to the power plant and looked at me.
Yeah.
So they were all looking at me. Mike Graham, Greg Gagne, Grizzly Smith, Jody Hamilton, Ole Anderson. But there was a lot of jealousy. There was a lot of jealousy from the guys in Charlotte that were, shuffling along on the little bitty independents that were trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of backstabbing and, all sorts of shit.
Yeah. Well, it was just, it was a very different business, right? Instead of, there's a lot less opportunities, a lot less spots. And you have these guys that are on that bell curve on the way down, coming off TV and these spots, trying to hold on, make some more money. It's harder for you guys on the other end, trying to work your way up to find those spots in those positions to get the experience and make some money and do that. It's a completely different business.
I worked the Charlotte Coliseum for WCW, and it was the A team. It was Sting, Rude, Arn, Buff. I think Lex.
Mm-hmm.
It was the A team.
Yeah.
And I worked. I don't think I was in the opening match. I think I was in the second match, but I may have been in the opening match. But I worked Van Hammer. The big blonde haired guy. This guy was put together like $1 million, but
right. Yeah.
I mean, he had no clue. I didn't think he had a damn clue. And
sure.
So Grizz pulled us aside, and Grizz said to him, "You think you can get him up about me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he said, "Will you go up for him?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Will you do a 3 count for him?" And I said, "Of course I will." And so I just felt like I should have gone over in Charlotte, the home of Crockett, the home of Nikita, the home of, and I think Dusty was on the card too, or maybe been doing something, but it just didn't work out for whatever reason. And I wasn't the easiest guy. I wanted to be paid.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to be caught up in all the damn bullshit politics. He said, she said, blah blah blah. All the third grade cheerleading tryout bullshit.
Yeah.
That these grown men were, going through. I mean, Dick Slater whooping Sting's ass because Sting was fucking Dark Journey.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we know what she was.
Yep.
And Slater should have known what she was as well. But I wasn't into all that crap.
Yeah.
I had a phone call from a guy that came out of the Charlotte area and went up to the WWF, his first big deal. And he had a girlfriend that was a stripper, and Stan Lane and I were in a strip club, and I was messing around with her and she was messing around with me. And long story short, we messed around, and this guy found out about it, and he called me at Jackie Fulton's apartment one night, and he said, blah, 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 blah. I'm whoop your. I said, you know where I'm at? I'm at Jackie's apartment. Just come on over here. I'm not into all the damn drama and shit.
Sure.
It was just part of the business.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of jealousy. So whatever.
Yeah, well, and that might explain why, since you've retired and moved on from pro wrestling, you've been working in a completely different field, right? In agriculture, you've been breeding poultry.
I
That's a completely different beast, right?
yeah, that's from Indiana. I started raising chickens and
Right.
showing chickens when I was in second grade
Yeah.
in Indiana, and I started wrestling in a club, scholastic wrestling in a club in third grade. And so when I got out of the business, I have a farm here. My family has a farm, and so I just started raising chickens again. And I'm not talking about production commercial houses. I'm talking about exhibition show chickens.
Okay,
And
gotcha. Yeah.
and so yeah, people like chickens, and I'm like, yeah, chickens are what keeps me from going postal, so to speak, and snapping somebody's head off. It's therapy for me.
Yeah. It's a very funny thing, right? In Indiana, because I mean, when I was growing up, we had chickens, right? Just for the eggs and
Yeah,
stuff. It's just it's what you do.
yeah. My mother and father, when I was in first and second grade, they would buy what are called flats, and a flat would be a 2.5 by 2.5 box that had 4 compartments in it, and each compartment had a different breed of chickens, like white leghorns or Rhode Island Reds or buff Plymouth Rocks or Silver Lace Wyandottes or what have you. And we raised them to have the meat to butcher or to have the eggs,
Yep.
As laying hens. But I learned, the colors, and I learned how to pronounce all these big, crazy names of all these chickens. And I was separating them as they would get older by how they looked. And so my dad and my mom kind of focused on that. And then they said, well, we're going to get some more. Which breeds do you want to get? And I would go through the catalog, and my mom would make sure that I read from the catalog to her because I had dyslexia as a child.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was getting me to read these catalogs
There you go.
that were for adults to order from. And I was reading all this verbiage out of there very well, so I learned how to read from that. So chickens and cattle and livestock protection dogs. That's my deal. And I was, my Longhorns, at one time I had the third longest horn bull on the planet.
Oh yeah.
His horns were the longest, third longest.
Yeah.
So whenever I did something, I was really into it.
Sure. Do you miss anything about pro wrestling?
Yeah. I can't say it over the interview.
Oh, all right.
Can you bleep it?
No, I don't usually, but I think let's leave that to the imagination.
I miss all the pussy.
All right, that's fine. Yeah.
Listen,
it's right.
Listen, I ran
rock star lifestyle, isn't it?
I ran around with Sweet Stan Lane of the Midnight Express in the back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I will tell you, Stan was a dear friend of mine. We went from New York to Florida to the Bahamas to Argentina, all over, doing all sorts of things. And Cornette coined Stan as the gangster of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned from the best.
Absolutely.
I learned from the best. And so, yeah, I miss that. But I'm gonna come full circle to now. Back in March of last year, I was approached by a card memorabilia, sports memorabilia promoter to do an event.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm really not interested, because once I stopped. I didn't make any appearances or anything like that. And and I told the guy, I said, I'm going to pass right now. And so then he contacted me again in May, and he said, "Hey, I've got this event. I'd like to pay you X number of dollars, and I'll pay your transportation in, and I'll put you up in a hotel of your choice, et cetera, et cetera."
Mm-hmm.
And the X number of the dollars was good, that it got my attention.
Yeah.
So I went to this event and spent 2 days there. He paid me, and I made some money off of selling my 8x10s. And that has kind of morphed into basically every weekend now.
Sure.
That I want to do something. I was supposed to do something last weekend in Atlanta, but we had a bad ice storm up here.
Yeah.
And we're still recovering from that. So
Yeah.
I didn't make that one. And then this weekend, tomorrow, I'm supposed to be near Charlotte.
Okay.
And they're supposed to get 8 inches of snow down there. And I don't want to risk, and they've postponed that event. So I do these memorabilia card shows, Pokemon, whatever all these cards are, these kids collect these days.
Sure.
Mainly sports cards. But that has morphed into what now is a collective, I don't even know the word to use, a collective body of work that we have a agent named Leon Flanagan out of New York,
Mm-hmm.
who is booking Nikita Koloff, who I was billed as either his brother or his cousin, depending on the promotion I worked for.
Right.
The Russian Nightmare, myself, the Russian Bull, a young guy that wrestles as Nikita's nephew. So lineage-wise, he would be my nephew also,
Right.
as well as Ivan's widow, Renee, with her permission to utilize Ivan's likeness. And we have collectively come together and have embarked upon a tour called the Koloff Family Dynasty Family Reunion. I think Koloff Family Dynasty Reunion.
Yeah, I think I saw this. Is it Neil Koloff, the one guy? I think I saw. Was it him? Someone put that out there. Yeah.
I'll send y'all the links.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, right? I mean,
yeah. So our first gig. Excuse me. I'll just get my book out. Hold on.
Okay.
Our first gig is in Las Vegas at WrestleCon.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Back that up. I misspoke. Our first gig is at the big event, New York.
Okay.
March 21st and 22nd.
Okay.
In New York. It's actually on Long Island. It's at the Suffolk County Arena, I think is what it's called.
Gotcha.
So that's a big event, New York, and they've been running that for quite some time. And there's lots of WWF, WCW, NWA, ECW superstars are going to be there.
Yeah.
Then our second gig is in April, and that is WrestleCon Las Vegas, which is not part of the WWF WrestleMania, but it runs in conjunction, or shadows WrestleMania's tour dates.
The festivity,
yeah. So we're in Las Vegas the 17th, 18th, and 19th of April. We are in Greenville, South Carolina, and I can't remember the name of the building. There's a show there, actual wrestling show that Nikita and I will be on. Not wrestling. I'm not wrestling. I'm managing Neil, and we the Koloff Family Dynasty Reunion will be making an appearance there in Greenville. South Carolina on April 4th, and that's kind of going to be a reunion from the standpoint, excuse me, that I had my first pro match in Greenville with Ivan.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so they're going to be putting that over pretty strong.
Sure.
And then that's April 4th. Then April 11th, all of us, Nikita, myself, Neil, and Ivan's widow, and Renee will have Ivan's WWF Hall of Fame ring.
Yeah.
But we'll be at GrappleCon in Tampa on the 11th of April.
Very cool.
And then we're in the 18th, we're in Las Vegas. And then we're in on May 2nd, we are in Providence, Rhode Island. It's actually Seekonk, Massachusetts, which is right across the bay from Providence, Rhode Island, for New England WrestleFest. And then on the 9th of May, the family reunion is going to be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Herb Simmons.
Oh, yeah. SICW.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the 9th of, it'll be the 9th and 10th. Actually, the 8th, 9th, and 10th, or what have you.
Yep.
And it's in Fairview Heights, Illinois, right across the river from St. Louis. Then we're going to be at the Net Pro Studios in Kingsport, Tennessee on the 30th of May. All of us making an appearance at a wrestling show there. And Neil will be wrestling, and I'll be managing him. And I think Nikita's going to be a part of it. And then on June 6th, we're at River City WrestleCon in Jacksonville, Florida. The family reunion's doing an appearance there. Then we're at the Gathering on the 26th and 27th and 28th. Yes, of June in Charlotte. They're going to be doing the rest of the family's going to be doing a 4th of July deal somewhere at a military base here in the U.S. But I won't be on that. I'll be on a lake in northwestern Ontario fishing for 11 to 12 days.
There you go.
And then wait a minute. The gathering is in July, is it not?
I think so. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's the 20th. That's the 25th of July. I don't know why I have it down in June. It's one or the other, June or July.
Yeah.
Then we've got WrestleCon Minneapolis, which is SummerSlam. That's August 1st. That's July 31st, August 1st, August 2nd. And that's Minneapolis with the shadowing SummerSlam. Then we've got, let's see, WrestleCade, which is the big event down here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is huge.
Yeah,
they have nearly 30,000 people come through. That's the Thanksgiving weekend in November, and so the family reunion will be there.
Yeah, if you send me all these dates, I will share them and get them out there. Right? The Koloff's on tour. We'll be
debuting. Let me finish this. We'll be debuting through, I think it's called Asylum Toys or Nerd Vault Toys or somebody like that.
Yeah, is that in New York somewhere?
Yeah, we're going to be they're going to be making a 4-piece action set of Ivan, Nikita, me, and Neil.
Oh,
but we will not be a 4-piece 4-set. We will be 2-piece sets. So it'll be me and Ivan and Nikita and Neil.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
Those are going to debut. We are shooting for, with production, we're shooting for WrestleCade to debut those things in Winston-Salem with a big deal, because that's going to be the 40th anniversary of Nikita and Magnum TA Best of 7.
Right, yeah.
And so they're going to do a big deal with that, we think, at WrestleCade. So we're going to unveil our toys down there. And then next year in February, I think it's February or late, you'd have to Google this, but it's either late January or February. I think it's early February in Manchester, England, at the Love of Wrestling. We're going to debut the toys also, as a collector set over there because of Ivan. Ivan has a daughter that lives in England, and a legitimate blood daughter, and so we're going to get her as a part of it, is what I understand. So she's going to come out. So it's so this autograph thing, these signings, these appearances, it's taken off.
Sure.
And I get new bookings every day. So
yeah, that's exciting. So, well, all right, Vladimir, thank you for joining me and talking to me. And I will, like I said, I will share those dates. And I did, like I said, I saw Neil share that. It's very exciting to see. And yeah, I will share that.
Shoot me. I will send you my telephone number.
Okay.
Over the Facebook thing. And if any promoter, can I do a plug?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If any promoter wants to contact me or the rest of us, the Koloffs, to bring us in, they can contact me through my Facebook page, which is my given name is Carl Richard Brantley, Brantley.
There you go.
And that's how I am on Facebook. Please do not be confused with another individual who has pirated my name and who has violated copyright laws by using my name, Vladimir Koloff. This guy wrestles down on the Gulf Coast.
I've seen
under a mask.
Yeah,
a mask and a full bodysuit. That is not me.
Yeah.
And so please don't be confused if you see Vladimir Koloff in some capacity on Facebook. That is not me. My Facebook page is Carl with a C, Richard Brantley. And you can contact me that way, and I'll pass you on to our manager or our agent, Leon Flanagan, and we'll just go from there.
That's right. But they can reach out to me, and I can put them in touch with you if that's easier for them, whatever it takes. So
yeah, Dave, whatever you think, either way.
Absolutely. So again, I appreciate your time, and I'll share those dates, and I'm very excited about the figures. I'm a figure guy, so I'm very excited.
Are you really?
I am. Yeah. Well, a select figure guy, just certain guys.
I am too. 36, 24, 36.
There you go. There's a note to end on. And well, thank you.
And on that note, Dave Dynasty says good night from Vladimir Koloff.
That's right. Again, thank you for your time, Vladimir.
Hey, and if any fans of mine from the back in the days that I was signing autographs at the world's largest retail store, and that's well known, well documented, Children's Miracle Network. I did a lot of work for them. Any fans from those days, reach out to me, say hello, blah, blah, blah. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah. And like I said, we'll stay in touch, and I will plug those dates coming up for the Koloff family thing reunion.
Okay. All right.
And,
very good.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll do a part 2 down the road. And see.
I hope it snows asshole deep to a giraffe down there in Florida on you.
Don't say that, man.
Available on all streaming platforms. It's professional wrestling's greatest, largest, privately owned wrestling library. All the classic hits, flips, slams, and pins of yesteryear are on one place. It's Ultimate Classic Wrestling. Check out the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, a who's who of professional wrestling's greatest spotlight stars ever to grace the squared circle, all in one place. Grab the best seat in the house for memories and mayhem on Ultimate Classic Wrestling.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia. If you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, And of course, all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at facebook.com/wrestlinggrenade. Don't be left out. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia podcast network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
All right, and thank you to Vladimir for coming on and doing that interview. We will stay in touch, and I will help share those dates for the Koloff family reunion. That's very, very exciting. So if it is anywhere near you, go out there and see them. Be sure to follow me on social media. I'm on pretty much all the platforms. Just look up Nostalgic Dave Dynasty or at The Dave Dynasty, and you can find me. Also, be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube for lots of classic wrestling content, plus all of my various podcasts. Go check out all of the WrestleCopia network of podcasts. You can find the individual shows on your favorite podcast platforms, or you can find them at WrestleCopia.com. Also, be sure to check out my friends, the Ultimate Classic Wrestling Library. Visit ClassicWrestling.net to sign up for your account, and then download the app on all of your smart devices. Now, guys, I told you to follow me on social media, so keep an eye there. I will be announcing my next episode guest there soon in the near future. But until then, once again, stay safe, stay warm, and wherever you go and whatever you do, be good, be safe, and always keep on growing.
Fans, we brought you All-Star Championship Wrestling. This is Sam Manager thanking you for being with us and saying until next time, so long, everyone.